What's up, guys? MC Stu here, and today we're going to talk about the new bridge officers out of the current lockbox that was just released, Safe Galaxy Lockbox. These bridge officers are called Watcher Companions. There's quite a few of them that are dropping since there's not a ton of stuff in this lockbox, and we're going to talk about if they're good, if they're worth picking up, and what are the things to consider in terms of doing that. I'm going to say right off the bat that I think they're definitely useful and a good value. That might vary, though, a little bit depending on your circumstance, and we'll talk about that here in just a moment. So let's go ahead and just start with taking a look at the box that they come in. So on the exchange, if you just search for Watcher Companion, there's all three different classes, and then there's male and female versions of these bridge officers. Now, what is very nice about these, and let's just go ahead and take a look at one here, is that they are very similar to SROs. So SROs is a space trait that you can get on bridge officers. They used to be locked basically to Romulans. They would give you a nice boost to your critical chance and critical severity. Fed characters could get them through their fleet and tactical. That was updated, and now you can, as a Fed, get them all through your fleet, all the different classes with that particular trait, the SRO. The issue is they're expensive. So you're looking at 160,000 fleet marks plus 40,000 lithium. So, I mean, it's not outrageous, but they, up front, that can be a little bit expensive. And so right now, these particular bridge officers are running in between 4 and 6 million on the exchange. So if you are someone that's maybe played for a while, already had the tactical ones from the fleet, might make sense to pick up these new ones. So let's take a look at the new ones here. So Superior Watcher Operative, they're going to give you a +3 critical chance, +3 critical severity, and a +5 to your starship defense maneuvering, which in PvE isn't really going to make any kind of difference to you at all. If you do PvP, then that defensive maneuvering stacking up probably would be helpful. But for most of us, that's not really something to consider. The two first stats on here are very, very good. So if we compare them to the Superior Romulan Operatives, let's pull that up here, you'll see the critical chance is quite a bit higher at 1%. And 1% doesn't sound like a lot, but it is when you take into consideration that you could have 5 of these on your ship. So that's an extra 5 just passive that you're going to get. The Romulan Operatives do get a 5%, and the Watchers get a 3% for your critical severity. However, right now, they are bugged, so I'll show you here in just a moment, but you are getting 5%. Well, I say that'll probably get fixed, but the Romulan Operatives, if you're a Romulan and you've purchased them, so not the fleet ones, you're getting like some extra stacks from this anyways, if you're a Romulan aligned character. So, and that's been an ongoing issue for years now. So I don't know that that'll ever be fixed, even if let's just say it's going to be fixed, just for argument's sake. You're going to be basically losing out on 2% critical severity versus having the Superior Romulan Operative. But again, for me, the cost on it is, like for instance, on my free-to-play account, my science character, he's one of my secondary characters. I don't have tons of dilithium on him or fleet marks. I have some, but I already have 2 of the tactical officers that I bought before the update that were available to Federation characters. And for me, it's a lot cheaper and easier in terms of time. So let's talk about cheaper in terms of time, right? Because we can get dilithium, you can get fleet marks. It's just a matter of time and playing. For me, it's easier to grind out that EC at the current prices in order to pick up 3 more of these than it is to grind out the dilithium and the fleet marks to get the Romulan versions. And for me, that's worth that sacrifice of the 2% critical severity. So if you're somebody that doesn't have any Romulan Operatives, maybe you're newer to the game and you're saving up your EC. This is definitely going to be the easier way to go and get the same kind of stats, and in some regards better stats. As of right now, the Superior Watchers are better in terms of the critical chance and critical severity, because you're getting 3% compared to the 2, and you're getting 5%, which is equal to what you're getting on the Romulan Operative, because they are not working properly at the moment. So as of right now, the Watchers, in my opinion, are better than the Superior Romulan Operatives, provided they do not fix the critical severity. And if they do fix that, then I would almost call it equal, because it would depend on what you're trying to do. So let's say you're a little bit lower on crit chance. You might want to mix in some Watchers and maybe drop a Superior Romulan Operative, or vice versa. If you're a little bit low on critical severity, then mix in your Romulan Operatives. So you can kind of mix and match that in order to get the stats kind of right where you want to, and that's provided they fix the Superior Watchers. If they don't fix that, then the Superior Watchers, in my opinion, is going to be better. Now, there are some niche, situations if you're using, some sort of a cloak build, and I don't mean just if your ship has a cloak. Okay, so there's builds that you'll basically dance in and out of cloak in order to proc other traits, and having that plus 15% power recharge speed for cloaking. Being able to utilize that is going to be helpful. But that doesn't mean that just if your ship has a cloak and you happen to use it every now and then, that would be better, having that recharge capability. So aside from those niche situations, if they do not fix that and it remains at the plus 5% critical severity instead of the 3, then in my opinion, the Watcher would be a better bridge officer. And at the moment, in terms of resources, much easier to get. I think these will probably start to go up in price a little bit, but I don't think they'll get too bad, because like I said, the lockbox, it didn't have, personal ground traits. It didn't have a whole bunch of stuff that we normally see in lockboxes. So when people are opening these, we're seeing a lot more of these dropping out of it. We're seeing a lot more of everything that's in it dropping out of it, because there's not as many choices. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the discrepancy here, just so we can, show that this is not appearing correctly, and then we'll take a look at the impact of having a full set of these on your ship will be. So let's go ahead and get that out of the way. So as of right now, this ship's built out pretty well. So even right now, I have no bridge officers on it, but I have a lot of pretty good premium gear. So I'm sitting at 46.5 critical chance and 186 critical severity. So if we take a look, right now we are at 186.8. So we're going to go ahead and add a Watcher in, just any Watcher here, and let's go back and look. And now we are at 191.8. So that was 5% increase. It should be 3 according to the tooltip, but that is how it is adding up right now. I did check the critical chance, and that is doing what it is supposed to. So what that means is, as of right now, you are going to get, 15% extra critical chance, and you're going to get an extra 20% critical severity on a ship that has 5 stations on it. So let's just confirm that as well. Let's go ahead and pull him off and take a look at the stats. So here we are at 46.5, and again back at the 186.8. So let's go ahead and slot all of the Watchers. So you can see we have Watchers listed on all of these here, and with a full complement, that's going to push this build up to 62.5%. And it's going to boost us up to 203.8. So that's pretty good. That's a huge boost that you're not having to give up anything for. And the same thing's true with the Romulan Operatives. This is basically just giving us another option. Apart from these two, you can get like the Jemadar, I think the Vanguard duty officer or bridge officers, but they come out of that large pack and they're really expensive in order to get it. I never picked them up because I didn't really want anything else in there, and I didn't want to buy a whole bunch of ships and stuff for the having access to these bridge officers. So let's take a look at how that compares if we were to say put a full complement of SROs on here and see how that looks. So let's go to loadout number 2. And back to our stats. So this whole thing is weird. So this is beating it out, and that is because this is a Romulan character. Okay, so Romulan character, and all of my SROs are bridge officers that you can buy off of the exchange. Okay, and Romulans are the only ones that can do that. And right now they are bugged. So what is happening is, if we take a look at the SRO trait, there's 3 versions of this trait for SRO, so Superior being the highest. So there's just regular and there's basic versions of it, and each of the stats are lower. What's happening right now with the Romulans on a Romulan character, the Superior Romulans it is all of the versions of it are stacking up, and that's why it's so obscenely high when you look at the amount of crit chance and crit severity that we're getting from those. Now, if I were to jump over to my Fed character with an SRO from the fleet, that's not happening. So as of right now, if you're a Romulan character, you're going to want to just buy SROs, superior ones, off the exchange, because their stats are just stacking. They've been trying to fix this for a good amount of time. Every time they do, something gets broken and they revert it. And so I don't see that changing anytime soon. Even if it does, you haven't lost out on anything, because they're good, bridge officers, even at their basic stats. But that's only if you are a Romulan character. So putting that aside, if you're a Fed character and you're picking up the fleet ones, you can do that. You'll get the basic stats that are listed. Nothing's broken on those. They work good, but you're going to pay 160,000 fleet marks and 40,000 dilithium per bridge officer. So I think the Watchers are good value. If they remain under 10 mil, and they might spike up, obviously after this video a little bit, but if the supply stays good, I think that we could see those stay under 10, or, if you're some of the first people watching it, go pick yourself up a couple, so you have those on reserve and you can mix those in. If you already have a full complement of SROs, as a Fed character that you've already bought from the fleet, then maybe only pick up 1 or 2 if you need it. If your stats are where they're at, then and you like it, then just leave it. The only reason you would need to change that is if you wanted to get a little more crit severity out of it. And I guess right now, with the way that that crit chance is incorrect and it's giving you 5 instead of 3, it actually would be superior to any of the SROs that you could get as a Fed or a KDF character. Again, if you're a Romulan character and you have bought SROs from the exchange, Superior Romulan Operative, Bridge Officers, those right now are the best in the game because they're broken and all versions of that trait are stacking. So there it is, guys. That's how it kind of shakes out. I think that the Watchers are definitely a good value. If you don't have any SROs at all, you're on a Fed character, I would pick those up, is what I would do. If they start skyrocketing, up 20 million or whatever, then it's just going to depend, right? If you're someone that spends a lot of money on the game and, getting ECs easy, you buy keys and you sell them, and for, you don't want to spend the time grinding out the dilithium fleet marks and all of that, then that would be the way to go. If you're someone that doesn't spend a lot of money on the game, it might make more sense to, grind out for the fleet stuff instead of, buying the EC or doing a mixture of it. It just depends on, what your process is. Some people, there's people that just casually log in, play, love the ships, and, this video is probably not even for you anyways. There's others that log in and they have a system down for, grinding out the different resources. They have time to put into it. And either one of these could work for you, if you want to grind the EC or grind the fleet resources. And then there's others that, spend money on the game. They don't spend as much time in it. And so they spend money to basically recoup that time so they don't have to grind. And for you, if you don't have SROs already and you're on a Fed character, it would make sense to buy Watcher Bridge Officers and get those picked up off of the exchange. I think that's my final breakdown of who and why you might want to go this route instead of SROs. And I guess lastly, if you're on a Romulan character, regardless of how you're aligned, either Fed or KDF, you're going to want to just buy Superior Romulan Operatives off the exchange, and you're going to get that massive, stacking amount, and that's going to beat out anything else that you can get in the game as of right now, unless somehow, a miracle happens and they actually fix it. I do not have a lot of confidence that that's going to happen for the Superior Romulan Operative Bridge Officers for Romulans. So sorry guys, a little complicated because there's a lot of kind of bugs this and bugs that and what ifs depending on, you know, the type of player you are and, you know, the faction that you're aligned with and those kinds of things. So if you have questions, throw them down in the comment section. Also, there's a link down in the description for the Discord server. There's a huge amount of just awesome people in there. If you have questions, throw them in there. We'll answer them for you. There's also a giveaway going right now for Master Keys, and I will have another giveaway up after the Master Key one for a Tier 6 coupon. So you can pick yourself out a free Tier 6 ship out of the Z store if you just so happen to get lucky and win that giveaway. All right, guys, until next time, I appreciate you watching. Have a good one. Hey guys, appreciate you watching. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, ring the bell, and sub to the channel for the latest news updates and how-to guides.